Hello? Hello?
We're good. I got you.
A lot of people. Yeah. Okay, so going through the agenda, starting at local laws. There are no meeting minutes for this meeting.
I
That
sent it
needs-
to you. That needed
I know
to be
you said,
reviewed.
yeah, thank you. Check. Okay, local law C is Mr.
Because of Michelle.
It's not because of you, it's because of me. Local law C is Mr. Conti's. Now, Richard, that doesn't have to go to committee, right? I mean, it's simple enough that, can we just let it age and then pass it, or do you want it to go to committee?
It doesn't have to be, no.
It's a,
It's a local law.
yeah, so however you want it. You want it to go to committee?
The way we do local law, the section in general city, whatever, with the hearings on local laws are held before the mayor after it's passed, actually.
After
it's.
Hearing, the mayor has to be in the building or her designee available for public comment. Unfortunately, a lot of people exercise their rights to come in and speak on things. So it's usually just me sitting here waiting for the general public to come in.
Usually it's not the hearings, it's not controversial. The one time that I think there's a lot of people was when the late speed the first time. And there were a number of people that came, I think Pat Jordan was the one who was sitting in had. So the hearing is done. I think you should probably put it, finish it,
Okay,
for practice rather than not
okay. All right, so it's going to law.
going to law.
Okay. Okay. Jumping over to local laws held, number 3, local law A with Mr. Conti's is going to be a pass.
And that one was like purely technical.
Okay. That'll be a pass. The rest are held. On to ordinances introduced. It's intro by planning for repealing Chapter 303 of the sidewalks and cafes, excuse me. That goes to law. That's going to law.
And who's in Wait, where?
The planning, we did, I actually have planning written down.
Oh, that's Fahey
Yeah.
and planning.
Wait,
Right, you-
6, is it 621?
It's one.
It's ordinance one.
It was on, it's on a page by itself.
Ah,
Yeah,
got it.
all right. Let's go to planning. Under ordinances held, they're held. Skip to resolutions introduced. Resolution 6/2120, Mrs. Fahey's, that'll be going to general services. Mr. Anani's, 7/2120, for climate emergency is going to be a pass. No,
All right, so yeah.
I thought it was.
I do have it. I'm not myself today. It'll go to planning. Yeah. I'm just gonna read my notes from our last meeting. Okay, the next one, 8/21/20, by finance. It's going to finance.
On that one, and, we were supposed to get the application that was
Right,
made
that
to the agent's
information.
office, which haven't gotten.
For that position, yeah.
For the grant.
Okay, just get it to Michelle. Okay, that's
Electronic?
going to finance. The next one, 9/21/19R, Ms. Fahey's, that'll be going to planning.
Could I talk about the
Right,
issue
yeah,
that we...
yeah.
This is pretty important, actually. We had scheduled the meeting for this resolution and the local law and community choice aggregation to be held after our caucus on the 12th, but we found out there's another meeting at 7 p.m.
Yeah, he's sabotaging it.
So we are looking at the possibility of holding the meeting on the 20th, but the 20th is our Thursday, our second council meeting of the month, and we would do it at 5:30. So it would be kind of a long evening, because we'd have the meeting at 5:30, we'd have caucus at 6:30, and then the council meeting. But my question for everyone is, if we have to pass that local law in this resolution on community choice aggregation, if we hope to do that, there's an agreement to pass it by March, I think it's the 2nd. And she has a little wiggle room in there, but she said she can't go past, I'm sorry, our administrator, who is Louise Gava from Mega. There's a reason that she can't. There's a lot of municipalities that have already passed it, and they've been waiting for a year. There's another handful of municipalities, we're one of them, that need to pass it, and so they're all hoping to pass it by this early March date.
March 2nd is the council meeting.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I guess my question to everyone is, if we move it from the 12th to the 20th, we do have, and we need more than one meeting, we risk not having enough time before that deadline. So I was going to ask,
Proposed deadline? I mean,
no,
they need us in it, they'll give us a couple.
they do, but everyone else in that second group is at, is a little further along than us, except for, I guess, Troy. But my question for everybody is, do you have a lot of questions about, this is the educational plan and the opt-out letter.
So we're not, is the local law on the agenda?
It's a local law.
So we had to do local law.
Yes. So we have to have the hearing as well.
So the hearing...
Is on the 2nd. We would do it the same night that we pass it.
I'm not going to
It's what night we have the planning committee meeting to move it out of committee to the full council. See, the 12th, I guess, the question is how many people can stay
Did you have a
after
meeting
caucus?
on the 24th? What did I say?
That's something else.
25th March.
That's the
No, I thought-
IDA CRC
Authorization.
Yeah, there was a
in
planning
March.
meeting.
In March.
Oh, March 20, I'm thinking February, okay. Because I was thinking if that was the 20.
We had the Jordine Jones scheduled
Where's it
for
going to be?
this
155?
in February. We moved it to tonight.
Oh,
Maybe that's what you're thinking of?
I was thinking the 24th, but it was March 24th, not February
Oh.
24th.
Oh.
So how are people, I guess my question is, how are people feeling about this whole CRC, community choice aggregation?
For me, the details in the legislation.
I mean, part of me, I know, Mike, we've got that people have that 7 o'clock meeting, which affects a lot of people here probably. But I am reluctant to reschedule to the 20th just because of the time crunch. And we would have time, well, what time would you?
Well, we have a caucus, and then I have to be up at, Forest Community Center? Usually I like to get there since I'm a ward leader, 15 minutes ahead of time.
So that's the 12th?
Yes.
Yeah,
Right now, it's scheduled for the 12th.
After
Yeah.
caucus at 6.
Yeah, that's,
so I couldn't make it.
Do we have, the caucus might not be that big unless...
That's unpredictable.
What if we did something like, we went ahead with the 12th, and then if we had, people still had questions, we had a second meeting on the 20th? Now that I'm thinking. I know Michelle looked closely at, well, we were trying to have it on a night the whole council is going to be here anyway, to have as many people here
Yeah,
as
that's why we
possible.
did it. Before or after the caucus. Hold on. I don't have anything for the 13th, but I can inquire. We also have this,
I like the idea, let's try to do it on the 12th, right after caucus, and, if it's as light as it's tonight, it shouldn't be that bad,
And then if there are still,
if we start caucus at 5:30, we're done at a little before 6.
hopefully,
Then that gives us basically 45 minutes to an hour for this, which is
Yes.
what we would be left with on the 20th.
yeah, some people have to. All right, I think
Okay,
we'll
so
stick
we're
with
going
the
to do it on
12th.
12th?
Yeah.
Stay with the 12th.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Is there any way we could do the, I guess it would be really difficult.
How much time it takes to
5:15?
plan these meetings?
I think it'd be tougher to get people here.
Okay.
All right.
We can really try to make it
Yeah, I think.
light, just make it a very light
I just gotta
caucus.
email them, let them know. everybody.
So that's going to planning. Okay, next resolution introduced is 10/21/20. By finance, going to finance. All right, I've got a couple of MCs.
So actually, can I just go back to that, because I'm realizing that this is a resolution, it's not the law, but we have the law.
It's noticed for both the resolution and the law on the same night.
Oh. Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
Can I ask a quick question for you? On item 9, on the ordinances held, I want to send you an email that I want to call that out. I want to give notice and I'm going to call it out of committee. I'm going to ask for a vote to call it out of committee on the next meeting because I think it's an emergency because I think the BZA has misinterpreted our code as to what light manufacturing allows, and they've stretched that to mean it allows selling body components.
do you
And
want
that
to
was
just
never our intention.
quickly explain to members what?
Oh, yeah,
what happened?
the BZA issued a decision last Wednesday night. I wasn't there because we were at the mayor's presentation. And this issue's been kicking around for 2 years now, whether...
This is blood plasma.
Yeah, and blood plasma is when people sell their plasma, unlike a Red Cross donation, and they get hooked up to a machine like dialysis, which freezes the blood out and puts it back into the other arm. It's a 90-minute process, at least a half-hour prep time and an hour recovery time. The position, this is something we never contemplated when we did the USDO. So we passed the USDO in June of 17. By November of 2017, Chris Spencer had authored a separate ordinance specifically for blood plasma, paid blood plasma donation centers. And that has kicked around, as Kathy can tell you, for about 2 years in various versions. Then the most recent one in front was tabled basically forever because we had issues with what Chris had prepared. But Chris's position was always that our USDO, which he authored, did not ever anticipate paid blood plasma pheresis donation centers. Our BZA on Wednesday night with no notice to anybody. In fact, they didn't allow public comment at the December meeting, which I was not able to make, but I listened to the full complete audio. The only one they allowed comment was the applicant, was a company out of Florida. And they allowed them, and they made statements which I thought were misleading. They said this is like a Red Cross donation in a school auditorium. It isn't. And so...
They didn't allow public comment beyond the applicant?
Correct. I wasn't there, but I listened to the entire audio.
Was this the first time that was on the agenda?
Yes, in its newest form, yes.
Then how could you,
I don't know.
it was
You
public
can't,
hearing.
you really can't do it. That's technically in violation of the open meetings law. They have to allow public comment of that
They
nature.
did not, and I have the audio
Any-
if you want to listen.
Anyone who wants, anybody who is
Well, no, I
harmed or
mean,
damages from
if
it
it's a
can
public
file an
hearing,
Article
they
78 to
have
have it
to.
undone.
Well, can the council, because when I opined to our corp counsel told me the council does not have standing to challenge it. That's bizarre, but that's what I was told.
That I will have to look at.
And you are our resource guy, so I will
That I'll have
trust
to look
you.
at, but any council member can do it in their individual capacity as well.
Yeah, and where do we get the
but-
wherewithal, meaning money, to
Yeah.
do that?
Well, Article 70.
Because the filing fee is what, $350, $400?
$210.
It is expensive.
Plus a lot.
210.
Yeah, but then you have to have transcripts and everything else.
I just
In
have
other
a
words,
quick
it costs $3,000.
Yes.
Just
But anyway, so, let me finish.
Take your time.
But anyway, we never intended that language. Chris never indicated that language was intended. So my ordinance has been kicking around now for a few months anyway. It's in committee. I don't think we need to debate this anymore, although I will take, if anybody wants to propose amendments or tweaks to it, we'll have almost 3 weeks because it won't be until February 20th. But I feel that there's a real need. I think the intent of the USDO has been subverted, and to me, there's a whole thing here. I mean, to me, it's disgusting, it's debasing to say that selling a body component is mere light manufacturing. It's a commodity, that's all it is. So I find that disgusting, and I think we should have what was always intended, have a specific ordinance addressing it, so our BZA is not at liberty, for whatever reason, pressure, whatever, to make these bizarre findings.
There's also a lot of documentation about how this actually preys on poor people and how
Well,
terrible it is for communities.
And we've had a lot of discussion about this, but I think, and Mike, if that's what you want to do, that's fine, but I think separate from that, I would like to have Corp Counsel, Amy Levine, right? To come in and talk to us about.
Well, she can
Some
do
of what's
that, but I'm still
happened
pushing
here.
it to
But it's important that we understand about,
I don't know.
Just this whole
She,
process.
the night before this came out, I specifically asked her, and she said I can't comment. So,
Question, is this the same or similar to what you had in the last time?
this is similar,
1,000
but I
feet.
would be willing to change things. Chris originally proposed 1,000-foot offset, so I have 1,000 feet. I'm willing to listen to other things. Chris does have better language, which came out after I submitted this, about handling the weight, being equipped to handle the total number of waiting customers inside,
So here's my question.
which I would be willing to add.
Okay, here's the question. Since we were required to get a recommendation from the planning board, I know the planning board has considered this previously and made a recommendation. to
And we
council.
have a copy of that.
Does that recommendation then fulfill the requirement that would relate to this ordinance? It sounds like it might.
I assume it would, and that ordinance was withdrawn. It had to be reintroduced, or I would amend mine to go to 500 feet, which is what the planning board had recommended. And I would also amend it to put Chris's language about no waiting outside. They have to totally internally accommodate everybody who shows up, or give them an appointment for another day.
Could you make the changes that you want to make that I then assume would be floor changes, floor amendments, and send them around to us?
Sure. I'd like to get a consensus. I mean, you were pretty strong about 1,000 feet.
I'm 1,000 too.
I would rather see 1,000 in there.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, we can always amend it to, it's not like this is permanent. We can always amend it.
Let's make it 10,000. Let's make it, let's get out of Albany.
You can't legally do
No,
that.
it's for the Family Dollar Store.
Okay, let's get back on track. All right.
So what point of the meeting should I announce that? Do you want to announce it as item number 9 of the, when you go through the ordinances?
Or is
No, I
it
think when we do
miscellaneous?
miscellaneous or unfinished business,
Well, I'd rather do it before then,
well,
because sometimes people exit.
it doesn't matter when.
Well, how about when
no one's
committee
there, as long
reports
as
come
it's
up?
done on the record.
That's early on in the meeting.
Mike, so you pushing for a vote on this tonight?
No,
Oh,
No,
okay,
just
that's
two.
fine.
no, but I have to give notice.
Sounds good.
At the next meeting. I'm gonna
At the
put
next
it
meeting.
for-
Thank you.
for-
I mean, ordinarily it would be done.
Are we gonna have
miscellaneous?
committee?
Well, I'd rather do it before,
No, he's pushing out committee.
before everybody's 1 foot out the door.
Are these going to be long amendments? It's going to be a long
No, it's
process?
just an announcement that I'm serving notice that I intend to call item number 9.
You're going to make a motion to discharge, you're going to, giving notice, be making a motion to discharge ordinance, whatever, from the planning committee at the meeting of February, whatever. The vote will then be on the motion to discharge. If the motion is successful,
Then I will call it for a vote that same night.
Okay.
But I do stand, if people want to give me ideas for amendments, I will listen.
All right, so we're going to do it in miscellaneous? Or
I'd rather do it before then. Either call
Yeah,
it.
we'll do it in
I would like to do it how we normally do it. Please do it.
If it's,
Do it in
I've only seen this
Just do
done.
it, we'll do it in miscellaneous, Mike. Mike, we'll do it in miscellaneous.
Okay, do it miscellaneous.
Okay, all right, so wait,
I
I
just
got
didn't
three,
want it to be forgotten.
I got, still got 3 MCs. All right, under resolutions, it's got, resolution 11-2120, that's, Mr. Anani's, for the Legislative Black Caucus.
Okay.
That's going to, council operations. That's an intro. The next one is Marissa's, salary, change in the law department. That's finance. It's going to finance. And lastly, 13-2120 is Mr. Anani and Mr. Robinson. You want to say something real quick about it?
No, not really. It's self-explanatory, just to kind of highlight Black History Month and, all right.
Okay.
And the contribution.
So
Thank you.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I would like to say something.
Mr. Johnson.
It was about 4 or 5 months ago, I got a call from someone, one of my constituents, and they brought up the fact that during February, they would like to see the black flag being
Oh, yeah.
So I reached out, I spoke to Brian Shea, who assured me that that was going to be the case. We also talked about making sure that it happened yearly. It was at that time, we also talked about crime victims of gun violence awareness month, which we celebrated in, I believe, between November and December. And it just seemed mighty funny to me that at the last council, I voted against the skywalk, and then I get an email earlier this morning saying something about this MC. I think that I don't know how to these things to this, but one thing that I try to do is I like my name meaningful and purposeful resolution. And we already have a flag en route to the city to hang up, and for the last minute, because we didn't, I didn't talk to Raphael. I made a call to Raphael today, and I understand how the process works. But at the time that we were having this discussion, I believe we didn't have council, and the conversation was with the mayor's office. So this is the second time that I was in conversation with him, and I come to council, and the last time Councilman Anani introduced the resolution, I brought it to his attention. He said that he was unaware of that, and I feel like to come here and find out that it's a resolution being discussed when I've had this conversation for months in advance with and even when it was brought to people's attention, it was said Derek had already had this conversation about the flag going up there. So even if people are going to move forward with a resolution, why wouldn't communication come to Derek Johnson, who's the person who's been having this conversation for months? And that reiterates the frustration that I shared last week about the caucus, a black caucus being formed, or because of how business is being done, people are excluding others from the conversation. When we voted down the Skyway, it wasn't 2 people, it wasn't 3 people. If we go back and look at the tape, it was people that was on the fence, and they said after Derek Johnson spoke, they made their decision. So, if we're going to do business, and we're going to do business on a part of town that I represent, and I would like my voice to be heard, and I would like my effort to be respected as well. And if they didn't know about it, then it was a mistake. But if people are participating, and because I didn't support resolutions that I should be penalized with things that are near and dear to me, I find fault with that.
I wasn't sure about this whole thing, okay? I had talked to Dave Gallen, who I think he was traveling today. I didn't know if then he's calling him to stop. I had no idea if I say it was endorsement or not. He just texted me back quick. He said, we are supportive of this piece of legislation. My question that I was going to ask is, how do we handle this with all the other flags that are up there? Hoping that we don't get to the point where we have to have a resolution every year for someone to put up a flag. There's some process.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah, that.
Because, we've never seen a flag, an African flag up there,
I
right?
don't know if it's ever been requested. That's why-
But what I'm saying is that it just sounds like, that someone, has to make a request. Like for a city that is.
And Jamel responded, right?
With African
Okay,
American
this is
people,
Jamel's,
it should
that's fine.
naturally
I'm not even gonna entertain this, I'm ready to go vote. I'm just gonna say thank you for your opinion, and let's go vote. It's like, you don't have to always respond to anything, right, Corey?
But if that was gonna be, so what happens if the next administration comes in and they don't feel like that?
Once it's up, then it's going to do whatever. And I do believe also, I mean, some of the stuff, I think it's a little mixed up when Brian does this and Dave does that, whatever. And then I know, in fairness to Brian, and I don't know if this, I'm not giving an excuse, but I know he was in the hospital having something done twice on his, something, then they had to go back and do it, so he might have been able to do that, so I'm just saying.
But I mean,
I know exactly
not
how
to
you
put
feel.
people's business out there, but I've been in company, I have taxes and, like it's been communication, So like it just, it's not a good.
And why
Richard, first time
What?
gay pride flag went up, did you need a resolution?
No. It came from the community.
Came to the community, yeah, we don't, I mean.
No, we've
Request.
never done resolutions on flags that I know of. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing one, but I mean,
Yeah, you should
you know,
just request it.
and actually, if the request had been made earlier and it happened earlier, it could have been done
What is the purpose of the resolution?
prior to the start of,
Jamel's
Black History
not
Month,
here.
so it's up
That's
now,
right.
He believes
rather
that.
than
But when
coming up
they
with-
had the transfer
Yeah.
of Brian being in the hospital, David, that's where that
I'll go for it, I just don't want to do this every
What's
year.
the
and I think
purpose
we
of the
should
resolution?
finish other-
The purpose of the resolution is that people from our community that ride down and see other flags sitting up there.
That's different, that's a different conversation.
But the flag,
The flag, if
I think everybody's good with
it's requested,
Yeah.
then the vote goes up, so we don't need a resolution.
Put an Irish one there in March.
Well, the resolution,
I'm all
the
set
spirit,
for
I
it.
believe, behind the resolution was that it happens without question, regardless of administration. This is something that is the expectation that we don't want to just start for, a certain number of years.
Where's the flag now?
The flag is en route to the city hall.
Well, it's not up.
It's got to be 3 by 5 by 5 by 3, I
Maybe it's too
think.
far off.
Okay, all right,
We had a
Thank you
10
very
by
much.
5
But
flag.
the administration said they're gonna put it up.
right, they agreed
We
to
don't
put
need
it
a
up.
resolution.
Yeah.
Say that again, Kelly?
When I got this from Wusu and Mr. Robinson, I said we didn't need a resolution for it, but
You said you did that.
I said we do not need a resolution, but Mr. Robinson made the argument that he wanted to occur. Pretty much the argument that Mr. Johnson made, so I said, okay, so. this-
And
that's
they
where
were, you were unaware that,
That, no, I
Also.
didn't, no, until I got in the middle of it, that's when, David said, DJ has been,
oh,
trying to.
miscommunication is what it
Yeah,
says.
yeah.
Well, it just seemed like, the convenience of the miscommunication is after the last, like we could say it's a coincidence, it's a whole bunch of coincidence that just happened. But this seems to be a reoccurring, so I think that's the uncomfortable part for me.
Just like, quick announcement, real quick.
Can I
before
just
we
say one
finish
more
up.
thing, not specific to that, but on MCs generally? We really have gotten away from the requirements and the rules. I mean, we just, it's sort of like convenient just not to pay attention to the deadlines for submitting stuff, to get on the printed agenda that comes out, so the public gets that printed agenda, and it keeps on changing, and Michelle has to keep on changing, et cetera. And we need to get back
Right,
to
and
that.
they're gonna start, and this, I
I'm gonna say,
mean, I jumped
but,
on him.
Yeah,
I
of these
jumped on him
three
about this
resolutions, I mean, the only, I
And
mean, the
Mr.
last one is the only
Robinson
one that you can make a rational argument that you can do an MC because it relates to a celebration that's occurring this month. But the other two, I mean, they can both wait until the next meeting, which is what should happen. So,
Oh, no. Kelly, I have to
Jen, you want to?
Just a quick reminder that our,
Are we gonna talk about resolutions now?
Number 4, on planning, it just was voted out of committee on condition.
We
Oh,
wait-
Jordine, so
Yes.
it
We
can be
wait,
moved?
we, right.
But
We
it is-
recommend that the council waive her appearing because she did not appear before the committee.
And Richard reminded us that it has to be waived by the full council.
And he said we could do it
So
in court.
we voted it out of committee, dependent on the council waiving her appearance. This is
You all-
for the,
Yeah.
folks, this is for the Albany Parking Authority. I apologize. Jordine Jones, we appointed her last March to serve on the Parking Authority, so we had interviews at that time. But her position, she was filling she was up for reappointment again now. So because we had interviewed her last year, we thought, and she had a difficulty making this meeting that we had earlier today, we thought we could go ahead and reappoint her without her appearing. However, the council has to waive that appearance, the full council.
So you'll have two votes, a vote to waive and a vote to pass?
We already voted it out dependent on this being approved.
We
by
can
full
waive
council
in
tonight.
caucus if members, if the majority of members here are okay with waiving the requirement that she appear, then it's waived. We don't need to do anything on the
So
floor.
is there anyone who has a problem with waiving her appearance? No. All right.
So it's waived.
All right, so we'd like to pass that
It'll be
tonight.
passed, yeah.
Thank you. Thanks.
so just a reminder, February 19th is our Black History Month celebration. And Wednesday, February 26th, at caucus, we're having a presentation on the zombie property legislation.
February 26th.
On the 26th. So it's our regular caucus day, but just that day.
I won't be here because that's the night that BZA, that Robertson is going to the BZA.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's the store, that's the store, right?
Yeah, that's about the store. Yeah.
So Rob McGee's going to do it, but Rob McGee, I know that Sam's going to be there. I have to sit
I think it's the 26th.
Because both you and Janelle will be at the BZA.
Hey, listen up real quick. Michelle.
So we have the NICOM planning and zoning confirmed for February 24th at 5:30.
That's what I was thinking, February
In the
24th.
basement, so
What? Say that again?
the NICOM, the planning and zoning, so that we can get a review for the USDO. They're gonna be able to.
You already asked me about that, right?
Yeah, you
Okay,
said-
I'm already, yeah.
And that's at 5:30?
5:30 in the basement.
Of this
building?
Yes.
The restaurant be open?
No.
Well, Brady,
That's closed.
you better order your food before you get here. No. It's
Yeah.
just a bunch of tables.
I just want to, everybody,
They might have, are they having other people come in?
I don't think you guys can show up.
Outside?
From other towns?
They're going to open it up to municipalities. Yeah. That's what we have.
Starts at 5:30.
Yes. We have less performance. We only have one required. So we should be able to be on time.
Or if I have to get up early, whatever, we'll figure it out.
You're in the beginning, so you should be fine. My bio, right?